Well, hello, and I'm happy to see you all, and we're going to get started by slanting, and we all know what that means, right? The S means we're sitting up, the L, we're listening, we've got our A, which means we are asking and acknowledging, and then N, which means we're nodding in acknowledgement as well. And then T, we are going to track the speaker. And so today we're going to talk about professional dispositions of learners. And so I completed the self-assessment survey. And, I just have to share with you that in my years of teaching, educating, collaborating with students, on how to be the best learner they can be, I've learned from them. And that is, I want to ignite in my students the love of learning and becoming a lifetime learner. And so, doing all of these, I have to say that I agreed or strongly agreed with every one of them. So right off the bat, educators should believe that all students can learn and should set and support realistic expectations for student success. And I agree with that. We can do those SMART goals with them on any level, and it's what's realistic and reachable for them where they are and how they can build on successes. Sometimes it's just a little step, and even small steps are still steps forward. And so, yes, I strongly agree with that. Educators should be sensitive to individual learning and the social needs of students and embrace the cultural diversity of the community. This is, I think, very key in understanding where a student is coming from, what their needs are, and sometimes it's not even what their educational needs are. It might be as simple as, has this student had breakfast? Is there a concern about where their next meal is coming from? What is their home life like? And is there safety in where they are? Those basic human needs that we all have before we can even dive into maybe learning a new concept, knowing that their basic needs are met, and what they might need culturally could be different based on where they come from, who their people are, and the community that they live in. And so, do I strongly agree that as an educator we should be sensitive to that? Absolutely. Educators should promote social justice and equity, maintain appropriate standards of confidentiality, and exercise fairness in all areas, including assessment. My personal view on this is that learning is as individual as a human. We are all different, and we all have different needs. And what can we do as educators to level the playing field a little bit, make things more accessible, especially to our students that might have a deficit coming in, and areas of assessment. That you're assessing each person and what they've attained, what they've gathered, what they've gotten in the lessons. And so, yes, again, strongly agree. In a social setting, it needs to be equitable. We need to make sure that, what's being offered to one is being offered to all, and how can they access those. Then another thing of educators should exercise sound judgment and ethical behavior. Absolutely. Boundaries, keeping things professional, and modeling that behavior of using encouraging and kind words, uplifting, pointing out what's right in the situation, modeling what you want, and setting expectations by saying, we want to do this way, rather than painting a negative picture. A simple example, instead of saying no running in the hallway, we use walking feet in the hallway. What mental image is a student getting? Always, I feel that it's always important to set the expectation by giving a visual with your words. And that is what the expectation is. We're all going to learn this concept today, and these are the ways they're going to be presented. And we're going to figure out which way we can learn this concept the best. Okay, so yeah, promote and support curiosity, asking questions, letting them ask questions, getting to a place of causing critical thinking about the subject. Like, what do you already know about this? What can we learn about it, and what can we share together in a group from our experiences? The integrity component, that we should model integrity by their words and actions. Again, I grew up believing that your integrity is who you are when you think nobody is looking, and that you try to be the most honest and forthright you can be. And when we model that to our students, when our word is our bond, when we say something, we mean it, and we mean what we say. That's a great way to model it. And then by being active as a teacher, up and engaging, asking students what they think, helping them stay on task, but getting them involved and letting them know that everything that they say, they feel, they're experiencing is valid and has value. So yes, again, I strongly agree. Educators should demonstrate professional friendliness, warmth, and genuine caring in their relationships with others while providing intellectual, emotional, and spiritual support. I 100% agree with this. And thankfully for me, that is not difficult. I truly care. I believe that I was called to be a teacher since I was a young child. I used to play with nieces and nephews and make up curriculum when I was like in second grade and they were going into kindergarten. And I would set up a little class with a table and chairs, and it's always been something I've wanted to do. I truly love children. I said that I'm a grown-up kid, and I just building those relationships one-on-one with my students to know that they can trust me. And I know that when I first meet a new classroom of students or new students come in, I know that there takes time to build that relationship, and I want them to be able to trust me, but I give them those strong boundaries of, we don't cross this boundary, but I will be consistent. I will be here. I will be the same, and we will build a relationship. And then I really do value fun in what we're doing, and I know that a bored brain just doesn't learn. And so I don't want to be bored. I don't want it to be dull. I respect that not all students are paper producers, and so because of that, I can help them by letting them express themselves other ways. And so, yeah, I always teach them that, when we talk about our heart and doing things with kindness, it's not the blood pump in your chest. It's your mind, your will, and your emotions. We're a triune being. And because of that, we have to be able to support our inner man as well, and nurture ourselves with self-love by exercising, by hydrating, drinking that water. It's so important. Asking yourself those questions like, why am I frustrated? Why am I angry? Am I hungry? What can we do to meet those needs of self-care and self-love, and to model that for my students, that we do get in touch with our emotions. How are we feeling today? Are we at a 5? We're having a great day. We're excited. Or are we at a 1 or a 2? And why is that? Can we examine it, breathe, do some breath work through it, and move past it and be ready to learn? So, yeah, and I'm not in a setting where I can pray for my students openly or pray with them openly, but I do pray for them, and I do remind them that I'm supporting them, thinking about them when we're not together in class. I'm a journaler, so I start each day with gratitude with my students. Just write down 5 things that you're grateful for, and it can be big or small. And I feel like that supports their spiritual growth as well, because with gratitude, we can just really lean into what is the good in our lives. There's so much to be grateful for. Then teachers understand the impact of community involvement and servant leadership as it applies to the welfare of others in an educational setting. Absolutely. You know, in my school, we have co-teachers, and my co-teacher this year happens to be a first-year teacher, and I've already gone to her with a lot of ideas, things I've used in the past that worked, things that didn't work. And I said, I'm excited to hear what you have, because I remember being that first-year teacher. I didn't have a co-teacher, especially one that's been in education as long as I have. I didn't have someone to learn from. And so I was kind of on my own, and I would get a lot of feedback from the students that helped me in my journey, and then of course mentor teachers in college. But in this situation, because she's young and she's fresh and new to the teaching world and full of excitement, I want to hear every great idea she has. And I tell her, I'm looking forward to learning from you as much as you are from me. And so it's really exciting. And I love our model at our school because it's all inclusion. We do have our special ed teachers that come in and support our students and also write support plans for us, but it's all about their individual goals and how they can work together in their community with their peers. And so I really love this model. Versus the segregated, self-contained classroom. And I know that there might be a place and a time for that, but I also feel as an educator that that's not the way our world is. Our world is not segregated to like behaviors, like disorders. We're inclusive, and I like to build compassion through interaction with one another. Then educators should be committed to the profession of teaching and learning. And I absolutely agree. I have seen a lot of change in my 25 years in the education world, not just with policies and trends and procedures, but also just in kids. When I first started, the only social media that was coming around for middle schoolers was MySpace. And that wasn't nearly the social media that we have today. There was really no YouTube Kids, or there weren't smartphones or tablets in every little one's hands. And so that's changed the culture of the child. We're seeing lots and lots of signs of ADHD, and it just from all the brain science, I can see where our students are swiping before they can speak. And we've studied that those hits of dopamine that come from that, it's inhibiting our natural dopamine from doing something and being successful for it. Rather, it's coming unnaturally by changing content quickly and getting that satisfaction of the next thing that's entertaining our eyes. And unfortunately, it's making for very short attention spans. And we as educators have to learn to help them adapt. And kids are smarter than they were, 20 years ago. They're savvy, and we have to be always learning ourselves and growing and seeing what it is that's out there so that we can stay relatable and we understand what they're facing, the things that we as kids didn't face. We could run around and play till the street lights came on and our parents weren't worried about us. Times have changed. Our world is not as safe as it once was. And so those are things that we need to be aware of, and it all comes into play in the classroom. What stresses a child might have that children 25 years ago didn't have. And so there just has to be a commitment for an educator to always be educated on what's happening, what's going on in the world, and growing and changing. When there's a new and better way of doing something, try it out. So those, like I said, my dispositions, I really strongly agree with all of them, and try to align my teaching, my own personal learning, my values, my growth in life as a teacher, as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother, all of those things. I feel like in that it's all part of who I am. And so I want to be the best for my learners, but I also am a lifelong learner myself. So that's our lesson for today, and we're going to take a break now. I went way longer than the time allowed, but I felt like I got to fully explain my my assessment of myself. So thank you. Have a great day.